What does it mean to be Russian? Such a simple question, but it got me thinking. Is it to support the country no matter what? Is it to oppose the government when you see any wrongdoing? To live outside Russia? To live inside Russia? To pay taxes and support Russian budget? To go to opposition meetings or pro-government meetings to try to show your support to the government, pledge your allegiance to the flag, to not question what they show you on TV, to listen to patriotic songs, to be proud of Russian culture and history. What does it mean to be Russian these days? I'll try to answer this, and please wish me luck. Howdy, everyone. My name is Konstantin, and welcome to Inside Russia, where usual Russia is explained by the unusual Russian. What you will not find here is BS, propaganda, or lies. What you will find is truth, common sense, and logic, and emotions, and today you'll find a lot of emotions, because that's going to be a very personal stream. This stream was inspired by two events. First, there was a simple question as I was asked at yesterday's stream about North Korea. Simple question: what does it mean to be Russian? I always come up with answers to questions instantly because I don't have much time to think in the live stream chats. Otherwise, if I thought, the live stream chats would be much slower paced. But I could not answer that simple question right away. I found it fascinating, and I wrote it down, and it kept being in my head for the rest of the day, and I even asked today a few Russians this question. What does it mean to be Russian? And the second event was a personal message I received not too long ago from a 58-year-old math teacher from Prague, Czech Republic, a response to my saying that Russia was a peaceful country from 91 to 2012 that I made in yesterday's stream. We had interesting conversations before, and I learned a great deal from the information he wrote me. And today I received another message. Let me quote a part of it. You lost absolutely all credibility that you had. Russia was peaceful from 91 to 2012. Many question marks. Really? 1991-93 Georgian Civil War. Government of Georgia supported by Russia. 91-92 South Ossetian War. 92-93 War in Abkhazia. 92 Transnistrian War. 92 East Prigorодny conflict, 92-97 Tajikistan Civil War, 94-96 First Chechen War, 99 War of Dagestan, 99-2009 Second Chechen War, 2008 Russo-Georgian War, 2009-2017 North Caucasus, and 2011 Syrian War. So far, I had great respect for you. Sometimes I was disappointed by your emotions, but I do understand them. But your statement about Russia being a peaceful country from 91 to 2012 is beyond ridiculous. It sounds like from Russia today. And there were some other insults as well. I will not go there. No hard feelings from my side. I respect everyone's opinion, and I firmly believe that everyone is entitled to have their own opinion. I was taught that in the United States of America, and I live by that. So that's fine. That message contributed to today's stream as well. So, what does it mean to be Russian? It turns out that I can only speak for myself because I understand other Russian people less and less. In the past, I thought I knew them well, but I guess I was wrong. I take it that being Russian for them is very different than that it is for me. So I can only speak for myself. But you know what? There's a category of people who think similar to me. I'm speaking to myself, but I'm very proud that I'm not the only Russian in the entire country that think this way. These people are the ones who surround me here in Tashkent, Uzbekistan, my fellow Russian refugees. There are around 1,000 of them in Tashkent Breakfast Club, the community that we have created that I know personally, and I've spoken to every single one of them personally. So I know their opinions, I know how they feel. We discussed this many times. Hey, next week is going to be 1 year. They have been 360 meetings, and trust me, we had plenty of time to talk. And there are thousands of others in Uzbekistan, other Russians who fled Russia, that who I think would support me in what I'm saying now. And not being alone with this opinion, knowing that someone else knows things the way you do is very uplifting. Because if you feel you're alone, that's a crushing feeling. Well, what does it really mean to be Russian? To answer that, I had to look back first, into the history. Because in order to understand the present, I think you need to understand the past. I was born Russian. The country that I was born and I was growing up at was far from being the best in the world. Honestly, it stunk. Despite that, growing up, I always felt proud. I was proud that I was Russian. Proud of so many things. Proud of culture, of country's history of winning World War II, of sports victories. I felt incredibly proud that the country was first in space. I was proud that country was technically advanced. I felt proud that I was growing up among fantastic people, kind and loving. I was proud of my family and my parents. Besides my family and my parents and the people around me, that I was proud of had a dark side, but at the time I didn't really see that. So I was only looking at the good side of things, and I was proud of that. And then 1991 happened. Of course, I was growing up at that time. One country died and another one was born instantly. I never felt betrayed, although many other people around me did. And I didn't understand their feelings at the time. I was feeling great. Honestly, I didn't care what happened in the past in the USSR. I was 16 years old. And although it was a very challenging time for everyone, including my family, myself, it was life-changing for many of us. I was loving it. I was a teenager, and the world around was becoming so colorful. And it was opening up. The entire world was opening up, and I was enjoying the ride. I remember around early 90s, perhaps 1993, I started feeling proud of being Russian. Okay, it was a feeling born, so to speak. At that time, not of what my country had achieved in the past and so forth, but me being Russian myself. At that time, we learned that many horrible things happened in the USSR. And it brought so many tragedies to other countries, other people, and onto its own people, onto its Soviet people. But I was proud that we changed. We, the people of Russia, we were born. We won. We killed the Hydra, you know. It was us who didn't bend in August of 91 and went onto the streets. And in 3 days, the USSR fell because of us on the streets, because we said that we wanted everything to change. That was our victory. And I was feeling that we changed everything forever, and not me. It was the feeling all around us in the country forever. And there was no going back to the old ways. And we were building the future with our own hands, and the future was bright. And we became part of the world. And we Russians were greeted and cheered by everyone in the world. And it was an intoxicated feeling, you know, something to be very proud of. That was a fantastic time. Very challenging in some ways. We were trying to reinvent the wheel. Hey, communism was being replaced by capitalism, and it doesn't happen overnight. But it was so liberating, intoxicating. I was proud. I was proud to be a part of that time in Russia, okay? And the tragedies of the past, you know, the wars, the invasions, and so forth, they started getting forgotten. It appeared at the time, you know, and I can't say whether it was true or not, but it appeared that way, that we started making amends with everyone who we messed up with, or messed up them in the past. No rocks were flying at us, you know, not from the Eastern Bloc countries, not from Afghanistan, you know. Instead, we were trading. We had relationships, and it was quite something. I think another reason was that when you have the entire world opened up for you, and you have such a bright future, and you see possibilities, and you believe in those possibilities, and they happen actually, you know, and there you are young, you don't want to look back, you don't want to dig into that dark past history, you know. You want to look forward, where the sun is, where the light is. And that's exactly what I personally did. And many people around me were absolutely the same. Now, the 90s were a real hard time in terms of survival. And the challenges of the 90s, there were many, okay? We definitely didn't know what we were doing, okay? We just, it's like you go into a swamp and you don't know where there's land and where there's water. You just take step by step. That's how I can describe the 90s. There were conflicts, tons of conflicts. We didn't know, we were at the crossroads. We didn't know how the country was going to turn out. You know, the Czech math teacher brings up a few conflicts: the Georgian Civil War, South Ossetian War, war in Abkhazia, Transnistria, East Prigorodny conflict, Tajikistan Civil War, First Chechen War. Let me talk about that and my attitude towards them. To my shame, I didn't pay much attention to the conflicts back then in the 90s. But you know what? I was 18 years old, you know, and 19, 17, and I cared much more of drinking, hanging out with my friends, and dating girls. That's pretty much it. And I was a student, of course. There were many ethnic tensions within the USSR in the 80s, and there were conflicts, armed conflicts with many victims in the 80s in the USSR, as in the process when it was falling apart. And then when Russia was born and 15 other republics, 15 other countries were born, the tensions didn't stop, at least most of them. They kept on happening. Most of them weren't started by this new country, Russia, okay? Most of them were seeded by the communists decades ago by stupid decisions of changing, lands, giving lands, taking them from one republic, giving to another republic, like what we're seeing right now, Azerbaijan and Armenian war. It wasn't started by Russia, okay? Nagorno-Karabakh was the first bloody conflict in the USSR in 1986. So most of the conflicts were not started by Russia. Let's take South Ossetia War. That was the ethnic conflict, was seeded decades before the USSR fell apart. And I remember there were clashes as early as 1988 in the news, okay, in the USSR. Russia did not get involved. Russia did get involved in that war, I'm sorry. But at that time, it was not seen as expansion of Russia and rebirth of this new empire, new USSR, and the same thing was for the war in Abkhazia. I personally visited Abkhazia as a kid. I was 12 years old in 1988 because we took a vacation, in the summer. We would go either to Crimea or to Sochi region, Abkhazia, there was no other places to go. So Gudaut, I believe it was, 1988, and guess what? The locals, the Abkhazians, they were all about, talking about claiming independence from Georgia, because they were officially part of Georgia, and both the USSR, and becoming their own country. And I remember their talks. They were talking freely because of perestroika, and Gorbachev let everyone talk, And the air in Abkhazia in 1988 was heated. It was hot, okay? And then it happened. They started clashing. Was not started by Russia in 1993, that war. But Russia, I believe it was not 92, but 93, but I could be wrong, But Russia did take a part of it. It did get involved. Do I think it was a mistake to participate? Darn right. Yes. I think that Russia should have stayed away, and it should have been left for Georgians and Abkhazians to be, for them to take care, because it was Georgia, it was one country, and they needed to decide on their own what kind of country they wanted to live in. Do I think Yeltsin started rebuilding the Soviet Empire? Heck no. He barely got sober in the 90s. He didn't care about anything. His crime was letting other people around him make presidential decisions for him. He was not controlling the situation. But again, it did not appear as Russia was starting wars and expanding and rebuilding the USSR. No. East Prigorодny conflict was something I just heard of today, researching, and it happens to be that like an ethnical conflict inside Russian territory. The way Russia handled the conflict, and I'm not really sure what happened because I just read one article, I'm not sure whether it's true or not, but it was inside Russia, and the way it handled this ethnic conflict was the responsibility of the Russian citizens. No more, no less. No one should have gotten involved, and no one did. Now, it was not a war, but an ethnic conflict. And it was happening here and there. It happened dime a dozen back in the early 90s. If you look every single province in the Caucasus, they were ethnic conflicts inside, okay? And they were taken care of one way or another. Unfortunately, all those conflicts came from the USSR and its dark inheritance. And same goes for Chechnyan War. Was the start of the war a crime? Was this war a crime? Darn yes. Unjustified and criminal. But it was a local conflict, and only Russian citizens, including Chechenian, they were also Russian citizens, were the should be the judges to those who started the conflict. Those who started should have been brought to justice, to the courts. Okay, Tajik war was definitely not started by Russia, and yes, Russia did get involved as well. It was a conflict between a liberal new government and Islamic rebels backed by the Taliban. In my opinion, Russia played a peacekeeping role. What makes me say that? Well, right now I am in Tashkent, about 50 miles from the border with Tajikistan. I have been to Tajikistan, Leninabad, and Dushanbe, and I've talked to tons of Tajik. There are plenty of Tajik here, and I heard their stories. Russian troops are still stationed in the mountains of Tajikistan, and they're serving as the border between Taliban and Tajikistan. The only problem now with that is that when Putin wants to something from Tajikistan, he starts blackmailing Tajik president, saying, "Oh, I will withdraw the troops immediately," and Tajiks are afraid of that because Taliban would flow, and they do whatever Putin says, usually. I'm telling you in details so you understand that Russia got involved into those local conflicts, but it did not appear as a direct invasion of a peaceful conflict-free countries like Ukraine right now, but always had been some kind of a preceding conflict. Growing conflict, cooking conflict, And it did not appear like border expansion of Russia by invading other countries. And yes, I think many mistakes were made. Russia should have stayed away in every single conflict, perhaps except for Tajik. But I'm not a huge expert, but I know that Russian troops have been stationed and protecting Tajikistan from Taliban for quite a long time. So Russia should have stayed away. And this is exactly why I said yesterday that Russia was peaceful from 91 to 2012. Was a big mistake, of course. Big exception, 2008, Russian-Georgian War. That definitely Russia was not peaceful. And was definitely invasion to Georgia. So if I lost credibility in someone's eyes because of my opinion, I'm sorry, but that's my life, and that's the way I remember, and that's my opinion. You know me, you know my stand from the previous 500 plus streams. Not much I can add to that. I left Russia for the USA in the mid-90s, and I spent fantastic 9 years in the United States. I had a new life, I built a career, and I cared very little of Russian politics. I couldn't stay away from Russia forever, though. I always felt Russia inside me. Russia never let me go. I felt Russian, and I was accepted as a Russian in the United States. Everyone was very friendly, was very accepting, was very nice. I always had a connection inside to my country where I was born and grew up that I couldn't cut. My Russiansness, I don't know if it's the right word, but Russiansness had a strong voice, and I left my excellent American life and decided to move back to Russia, taking my family with me, because I was feeling that Russian itch. I wanted to be around my family in Russia. I wanted to speak Russian. I wanted to, be part of Russian culture. I missed it. And I wanted my kids to go to elementary school in Russia so they would learn how to speak English and would absorb Russian culture, Russian history. Okay. My first wife, accepted that, and she welcomed that very much, which I'm very grateful for that. And we moved back. We decided to spend a few years in Russia just so I could, close Gestalt, so to speak. And we came back, and we liked it very much, and there were many opportunities open for us. And everything was great at first. I was feeling great being back in Russia, and I was feeling great being Russian. I felt, I was important. I had a good job. I was making good money. I was doing something useful for my country, not just for Russia, but for Ukraine and for Kazakhstan, because our company worked in 3 countries actively. We were building substations, high voltage substations, and power plants. And this is something that you can see. You build, you turn it on, and people get electricity and heat, okay? And that's a very rewarding profession and, job. So I talked to my friends. I spoke Russian every day. My kid went to school in Russia, and I was right next to my mom and dad. I was feeling really good. I was feeling finally, at last, there's something good going on in Russia, okay? And it wasn't just me. So many people around me were feeling this way. Besides Russia, I spent a year living in Ukraine, and I spent 2 years living in Uzbekistan, and I witnessed how Russia was towards the neighbors. I don't listen to anyone because I saw everything with my own eyes. I saw the relationship that Russia was having with Ukraine. I never felt like I was in a foreign country when I was in Ukraine. Same for Uzbekistan. Something, tiny little changes, but we all came from the USSR, And Russia was never aggressive to Ukraine, was never aggressive to Uzbekistan. Everything, we got along great, That's how I was feeling Russian, and that's how it felt being Russian back then. It felt good. Yeah, situation started gradually worsening, changing. The country was being hijacked by the gang day by day, week by week. I covered it in many previous streams, how they hijacked Russia, changed it, and stole it from us in front of our noses. And yet until 2012, it seemed more or less fine. Of course, with the exception of a Georgian war, which was a shock to us, to many of us. Everything started changing in my books in 2012 when Vladimir Putin decided to run for the president for the 3rd time. In late 2011, Bolotnaya Square protests for the first time in history of Russia happened, okay? The protest, massive protest, and opposition appeared. And Vladimir Putin started changing Russia. He saw a threat, and he started playing his, Soviets' old card. Enemies surrounding Mother Russia. I first heard it in February of 2012, and it was, I smelled the smoke, so to speak. Fire, although it was tiny, was there already. You know the story well. I've covered it so much before. What followed was shame. Watch my previous streams about Russia's history and watch my videos about that. Let's fast forward to 2023. What does it mean to be Russian today? To be Russian today feels like being Russian today is like being a stray dog. Someone bought you as a toy, used you, and threw you out on the street and kicked you in the butt so you wouldn't even think of coming back. Not like you want to go back anyway. What does it mean to be Russian these days? Having a feeling of being crushed and betrayed. Feeling pain, guilt, and shame. And having a feeling of disgust too. That's quite a cocktail, isn't it? Every time you see Ukrainian, you feel consumed by guilt and shame, and you're afraid to come and speak to them because you have nothing to say really, and you don't know what to say. I came and forced myself many times when I saw Ukrainians in Russia, in Uzbekistan, in Tajikistan, in Dubai, in Turkey. Every time I saw Ukrainians, you can get the accent. Usually they're very proud of their colors. And so every time I forced myself to come out and I said simple phrase, please forgive us. Some looked at me and shook my hand and looked into my eyes. And some, they simply looked through me like if I didn't exist and turned away. And that's not a good feeling. And that's how being Russian feels like these days. Feeling outcast, feeling rejected everywhere, having people in other countries in Europe, in other countries look at you not in a good way for the fact that you have a red Russian passport in your hands. What it is to be Russian. When I lived in the USA, I had this desire for my children to go to elementary school in Russia, so they would absorb Russian culture like a sponge, and they would learn how to speak English. It would be their, native language. And after they would grow up, they would come back to the United States and they would polish up their English and, absorb American culture. So that become bilingual and multicultural. That was one of my dreams. Now first graders in some Russian schools are forced to wear military uniforms, and everywhere throughout Russia, universally, they are forced to learn horrible Z patriotism. Starting grade 1, Michael just started grade 1, now, instead of desiring for my kids to come and learn in the elementary school in Russia, one of the best things, probably the best thing I can do for my children is to take them away from Russia for as far as I can. And that's also what it is to be Russian these days. To be Russian also means loving your family in a different way, loving so much more and appreciating it so much more, because this whole thing showed everyone that there's nothing besides the family, really. That's the only thing you have. You see, when you face this choice you understand that you must get up, book a ticket, and get outside of the country in, 36 hours, 48 hours, it doesn't matter, in a week, in a short time. And you get out of the country and you leave your family behind so they can catch up with you later. You start understanding how precious they are in a different way. You start understanding how lonely you feel without them, that your life is not wholesome without them, without your wife, your children. And once they come, they finally come, that just makes you so happy. Family is that the only thing you really have. Everything else is, how do I say that, fake. You can have cars, money, bank accounts, jewelry, good clothing, houses, apartments, whatever, job. You can have status in the society, but that's all dust. And if someone blows, the dust just disappears. What's left, the only thing is left, is your family. That's it. After all that, when you have to run and your family supports you and then they move with you, if that happens, if you have family remaining, and believe me, I've seen so many cases here when families simply break up. Wives don't follow their husbands, okay? So if you still have family remaining, that's a huge luck and it's a gift, and you start realizing that. So that's what it is to be Russian these days. Now, I was gonna say the worst. No, it's not everything is the worst in this situation. Pretty bad is that you don't have your country anymore. It's gone. It's gone with everything. People, jobs, your job, your career that you've been building for years, decades, whatever. Your assets, your money, your house. I know so many people who were saving for years to buy an apartment or a house, car, all the belongings. This is like your nest. You build it year by year by year by year, and then all of a sudden you get up and you leave and it's gone, okay? Your entire life just disappears into thin air. And all you had, all you knew, just like dust. And you know that you weren't the cause. You know that you just, if you stay, it's going to be worse. If you stay, you betray yourself, okay? So the only way is to leave. And it's not you. It's your country that chewed you up and spat you out. And it hurts so freaking bad, What does it mean to be Russian? It means to be just like that guy in the picture on my thumbnail. When you're standing with nothing but a backpack in your hand and your entire life is squished into the backpack, and you're missing a huge part of you, not physical body, but your soul. When I saw that monument, that sculpture, I said, wow, that's us. That's me. You are there, but a huge part of you is gone. Part of your soul. The only that sculpture is missing is your family, your wife and your children, if you have any around you, okay? But that sculpture is so spot on. And you stand with a backpack and you're outside of your home on a territory uncharted, and you feel like you're starting at zero. You start with everything: your job, your connections, your material things, everything, and you feel lost. If you have your family right next to you, you're really lucky, because family is like an anchor. Without family, you're feeling incredibly lonely and lost. And a very strange effect, when you're in a foreign country and a local says something good to you and does something good, offers you something, buys you breakfast or dinner or something, and it's a tiny thing, and you feel so good about that. It makes you so happy because you really have nothing. And when someone steps out and does something just tiny little good for you, you feel absolutely incredibly happy. In your previous life, you wouldn't even think about it, And you stand lost and confused, and you rely on yourself only. And to many people, it's for the first time they realize that it's just them, okay? Because, we're all different, and a lot of people don't realize that their fate, their life is in their own hands, and it's can be a very scary feeling. And you are standing at a crossroad because there are different options, and you're missing this huge part of you, and it's bleeding, it's hurting inside, and you're standing with this backpack, and you basically have two choices. First choice is to give up, lay down, and die. And I've seen people doing that. Some people died, really, and some people die, it's like an analogy. They're not doing anything. They're just laying down there, spending their days in depression, in psychosis, going crazy, and things like that. That's a choice. Or you make another choice and you keep on moving forward, step by step, day by day. And you don't know where, because you have this fog in front of you. And with every step you take, the fog kind of like goes far and far, but still, you can't see for years ahead. You just have no clue what's going to happen to you. And you just wake up, you get up from your bed, and you take step by step. And at least you do that for your kids. And this is what it is to be Russian these days. At least for me. I have answered this question the best I could. Thank you. Pretty emotional stream, Folks, it's been quite a long message. Not even a message, it's monologue. Let me know what you think in the comments, okay? If you want to ask me something, I'll answer. Hang on. This awesome picture, by the way. That guy standing with a backpack or little duffel bag and a huge part of him missing. Let me just. So, did any one of you understand what it is to be Russian these days? Tea helps, kind of keeps me a little calm. You know, why is this so emotional? I've said basic things, you know. It's when I've been thinking about the answer in this question, what it is to be Russian, how it feels to be Russian. My life was kind of playing in front of my eyes like a movie of the last year. In 6 days exactly, there will be 1 year since I arrived and landed in Uzbekistan. And I'm going to be making a huge, well, not huge, but a large event for the likes like me, the Russians who fled last year. I have this idea of giving everyone a mic and giving 1 minute, and I want everyone to share their story, how they felt when they landed in Uzbekistan in the 20th of September of last year or in October, and how they're feeling now. That's all I want to hear. Back then, and no, I felt absolutely crushed. I felt basically like I told you. That's how I felt. Now I'm feeling so much better. You know, I'm absolutely lucky. My family is with me for good, and I have tons of friends. I have two communities, you and Tashkent Breakfast Club, that I built with my own hands, because I made that decision to get up every day and take step after step after step. And the first thing I realized that I was not the only one. There were thousands of just like me, and I figured that everyone needed help even more than I did, because I was in a better position than everyone in Tashkent. I had friends, I had known this place before, I had lived here before and things like that. So I figured, hey, you have it easy, okay? Others are having so much more difficult. So get up and try to ease their lives somehow. And I didn't even have a clue. It's just this Breakfast Club idea came to me, I guess, from above. And but anyway, that's why I'm feeling pretty emotional, and it's a tough stream. Thanks for coming, by the way. Thanks, mods, and thanks, friends. Andrew Baker, thank you so much, and Crusader Damien. I have great sympathy for you, but I also believe that Russia's great culture and people has gone dark since Red October, and only a bit of light came in the 90s for a few minutes, and now. You know, thank you. Thank you, Crusader Damien. You know that I value your questions and opinions very highly. I think the best questions come from you. The most thought-provoking, the deepest, and you just proved my point, albeit indirectly, okay? You're saying that you feel there's a little bit of light came in the 90s, and that's the light I'm talking about. There was a little bit, I agree, but there was light. It was enough for me. It was enough for us, you know. It was enough for me to come back to Russia, because I came for that light. And you're right. The culture was not gone since the Red October, but it was gradually being being gone, gradually disappeared, gradually being destroyed. And now they just finishing everything up. Okay, it's gone. I'm sorry, I'm not reading all the comments. I'm seeing a lot, but it's kind of behind. Thank you all. Thank you for good words. Sorry for the criticism with the hardship you have been through. I'm going to send you a sack of potatoes. I don't really remember you criticizing me that much. Calvin, sorry for what? You've always been great. KG1, after the last 9 months, do you think many Russians still want to go to the Soviet era? Have no clue. You see, I said in the stream, in the beginning of the stream, that I speak for myself because I thought I knew Russians, but I understand them less and less. And I don't understand how people still want to go back to the Soviet era. It's like going back to the darkness, okay? I don't even know how to express it. Do I think that many Russians still want to go back there? That's not a matter of me thinking, I'm seeing it. There are many they want to go, yeah. They somehow have this fake, very wrong picture of the USSR, memory of the USSR. They forgot all the bad, and they all remember the good. They were good things, but they weren't connected with the government. They were connecting with us living as human beings. We had birthday parties. We went to meet everyone, our big families, we got together. We had parties. We went on vacations. Good memories, but they have nothing to do with the state. I don't think, I remember one memory of something good connected with the USSR, the government, the state. And somehow, I think the propaganda, they replaced the values, the memories inside of people's heads. And then people think that it was the USSR responsible for the good things, but it wasn't. Oh. Matthias, don't watch every stream, but I have huge respect for you and your work. Thank you so much, friend. Thank you, I appreciate it. Pam Tree Kate, like Phoenix from the ashes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Feeling means you're human. Nothing wrong with that. The worst thing is to be numb in pain. Believe me. Oh, I believe you. I believe you. I had days like that. Thank you, Natasha Panfilova. Howdy. Just there, it certainly has been quite a journey. Hal Porter, howdy, thank you. Sam K, Samsung keyboard is fudge. It's funny. Ann Larson, thank you so much for sharing this strong emotional message. Just the thought of having to leave my country makes me cringe of pain. Well, think of this. You have to leave tomorrow. You literally have hours counting, 23 hours to go. You have to finish everything you have in 23 hours. Yeah. Angela, you have lost your country. You're feeling lost. Um, I was feeling lost. I was feeling lost, incredibly lost in the first few days. When I finally came, I've said that story many times. I exhaled. I said, my adrenaline was going down because there was lots of adrenaline to flee Russia. Like I said, there were 5 people in front of me in the line at the border patrol. They were not let out of the country. And I still remember one of the guys was walking by me and he was looking down, and I still have it like in front of me as a picture, as a video. And he slowly looked onto me, looked up into my eyes. He was a little shorter than I was. And he looked at me, and his eyes were, there was so much pain and despair in his look. And everything inside of me went cold, okay? So I was pretty excited to get out. And once I did, I found myself asking, this is not very polite question, what the fudge? What do I do next? Like, how could this happen? I find myself here in Tashkent doing what? Trying to be safe away because I don't feel safe in my country. I feel like they're gonna get me any day now. That's when I was feeling lost. But let me tell you something. They were anchors, and I think every person, in order to succeed, in order to stay sane, needs anchors in his or her life. And my anchors have been my family, my wife and children. They supported me 100%. And my mom supported me 100%, My relatives, well, they're not my closest, cousins, and they said, "Oh, good, you did a good thing." They also support me, but it wasn't as close support. And my friends supported me, and I had you, because I still remember that stream. When I streamed for the first time, there were 3 or 26,000 people, and trust me, it makes a difference. If I didn't have you, if I didn't have the community, it would have been so much more devastating. I felt like I had so many thousands of friends supporting, watching, sending me money. It was very important at the time because I was kind of like hanging in there, in here, in Tashkent, not knowing what to do. And sending good words, and everyone was cheering for me. And I don't even know how to explain it, but it's not, it's physical. I get physical joy out of that. I get physical feelings. And then I started creating. It's like on a day 3, I started getting people together, trying to get people together at least. And it's been a life-changing experience as well, because I have these 3 huge anchors that keeps me not lost, that keeps me sane, they keep me energetic, they give me meaning and purpose, okay? Family, you, and offline community. Real people I meet every morning, on Sundays, like every day. And that's helped a lot. So I can't say I'm lost. Right now, there are so many people looking up to me here in Tashkent that I cannot let them down. I have to lead. I have to be out there. I have to be, I have to show up every day, because if I don't, everyone starts asking. So that motivates a lot too. So that's it, Angela. Susie Mailer, how does the ban of Russian cars in the EU affect your community? Susie, it has zero effect, because none of us has brought cars from Russia, because here in Uzbekistan, you can only, if you're a foreigner and if you come to Uzbekistan in your car, you can only drive here for 3 months, and then you have to pay duty tax, which is incredibly high. Let's say you have a car, that 10-year-old car that costs $10,000, but in order to register here, you have to pay $25 extra thousand as a duty tax, and this is how they protect local car manufacturer Chevrolet, Chevy. So none of us have brought cars here. We all sold cars in Russia, and that's it. So that ban of Russian cars, zero effect on us. Micah, thank you so much for sponsoring 5 people. Thank you, I appreciate it very much. Pulaski, Virginia, Terry Carter, howdy, howdy, friend. Dieter, thank you so much for nice words. I appreciate it. That's, your comments actually help a lot too, because don't think it's just a comment, you read it. It stays in the head and it gives you physical feeling, physical emotion, physical motivation. Big hello from Barcelona, Alexandra, Alex. Howdy, howdy, Ola. To understand Russia, you have to read their literature and listen to their music. Alexandra, I've been reading literature all my life, starting from school, and I've been listening to their music, but you know what? I'm feeling absolutely lost about Russian culture and about Russia. And then I think the more I learn about it, the less I understand it. Konstantin, do you think Russians are the biggest enemies in your history? Russians are Russia's biggest enemies, absolutely. Alexandra, thank you for the hugs. I've said it before. They're playing this card of, there are enemies all around Russia, and the enemies want to destroy Russia, take its sovereignty away. Yeah, and the enemies are the biggest threat. Countries like the collective West, the USA, satanic Americans, of course. The UK is somewhere close by. Germany doesn't know what to do. Used to be our friend, but now it's an enemy. Poland, the Baltic countries. In reality, Russia doesn't have any friends, doesn't have any enemies. Its only enemy is Russians themselves. They can make their country shine and they can destroy their country. And they've been destroying, they've been doing a freaking marvelous job in destroying the country. I mean, look what Russia is basically in ruins right now with no future. I don't know what's going to happen to it. I mean, there are different theories, okay, different paths, but I don't really see good ones. So you're absolutely spot on. Russia's enemy, biggest enemy is Russia itself. Tulio, thank you so much. Your words about people dying touched me. I deal with depression myself, and if this happened to me, I would surely be one of those people, or worse. Your life is an example of strength for me. Thank you so much for the message. Let me tell you this. At times, it was incredibly difficult to get up and every morning and, keep on going. At least, especially at first. Especially, oh my God. Sometimes I remember I really had a hard time getting out of bed, and To be honest with you, for a couple or 3 days, I think there were a couple days, I spent all days in bed, like couple days like that, and watched movies or watched YouTube or something like that. But again, my kids kept me going, my wife kept me going, my mom, and the community. I could not miss streams because people expect me, wait for me, they rely on me to show up, and I could not miss the breakfasts because some people I was buying breakfasts for, and I'm the one who created the whole thing, and people always, come to me, and if I miss, then they start wondering, and it's not good. So, but lots of people with depression here. Like I said, we're having side effects of that stress that everyone went through 12 months ago. And a couple people are attending psychiatrists. Depression's so bad, they're thinking of the bad things. But once we heard both cases, we started helping even without them asking, okay? Found good doctors immediately and forced them to go to see the doctors, and they're doing better, both of them. Heavy pills, like heavy stuff. I don't even know what they're taking, but... And then there are quite a few depressions. You try to do things, you try to plan, you try to, I don't know, just easiest, apply for a visa, and then you work so much, you get the paperwork, you keep on working or find a new job, and boom, you get denied, and then people go into depression just like that. What else? If you live like a regular life, if something doesn't go as planned, just keep on going. But this is such a sensitive situation that it's really much harder to keep on going as usual. So thank you so much. I am kind of a forced. I've been forced to not to fall into depression. I don't know. Perhaps God. Well, definitely God is also helping. But anyway, thank you. Sean, fantastic to see you. Thank you. You are good, decent, brave for not blindly following others. Thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate. Sean is a fantastic human being, very wise. A lot of people seek for his advice, and he helps so many people. So, folks, Sean is the man with a capital M. And this is what truly matters and makes a difference in the world. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you for these words. Thanks for, 20 coffees. And thank you very much. It's a pleasure and honor to have you at my side, communicating with you. And Katerina from Czech Republic. Howdy, howdy. We share the same DNA. And if I would ever use my knowledge of Russian language, learned mandatory in former Czechoslovakia, you are that only person. But sorry, I cannot help you carry that huge burden. Respect from Czechia to you and Natasha. Thank you so much, Katerina. What can I say? Thank you. It's fantastic to have you. Thanks for your support, and thanks for the money. Much appreciated. And the words are priceless. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Wolfhound 26X. Today was a restart for you. You have a new light shining out in front of you. Stay on the road. Keep your spirit. Thank you, friend. I have no choice of turning away now. I have to do it for my kids, for my wife, for people who rely on me, for, for everyone. Crusader Damien, another question. I noticed Solovyov has an iPhone Pro he uses on his show, Sanctions. Also, where is Medvedev? No signs of him in the Western rehabs. Russian windows. Well, I don't know where Medvedev is, but he kind of worries me because it's been too long without him, without his marvelous gems of messages. So I don't know where's he. But Solovyov, dude, they are so double-faced. It is quite unbelievable, okay? They all are double-faced. And this is the perfect example. He wants to nuke out the West and he uses the iPhone, okay? He hates the West, but his home is in Italy on Lake Como, and it cost him $5 million euro, and he loves spending his, summertime vacations on Lake Como in Italy. Somehow not on Lake Baikal in Russia, okay? But, he's such a patriot, but, yeah. And all of them are like that. Whew. Drives me nuts. Jason Carney, thank you so much. I see that you've come back, and thanks for the support. No messages from you, but there's one huge message for you. Thank you. I appreciate it from both of us, from Natasha and from me. And thank you so much. You're gonna be the talk of our breakfast tomorrow when Natasha is sleeping now, unfortunately. And thanks for gifting the sponsorships to 5 people. Thank you. Andrew Baker, also thank you very much. No message, but message is loud and accepted, appreciated and welcomed. Thank you. Friends, I wish I could talk more, but it's been quite some time, long message today. I'm sorry, but I couldn't make it shorter. I am sorry. Jake Allen, thank you so much from Australia. From, as usual, no message, but trust me, this message very, very appreciated. Thank you. Kevin Baker, never, I want to become a politician or a president. Ugh. It's disgusting. This idea disgusts me. Andrew Baker, it sounds like you are understandably are going through culture shock. Wishing you all the care for you and your family. I went through culture shock. I know what culture shock is. Another thing, mods, please give me a couple of minutes. Let me tell you about that. Andrew, seems like you know what you're talking about. And my first culture shock I went through was in California, in Maine, in 1996. Imagine me being torn away from my family, 20-year-old boy, and thrown into first California, then Maine. And I remember ladies in California, it was an orientation session, and they were teaching us a thing or two about life on our own, basically, because we were big kids. And they said, look, you're going to go through culture shock. Mark down the stages. And we were like, we're not going to go through culture shock. And they're like, please, mark down the stages. And then when you don't feel good, just know why. And they told us about this. 6 months it takes. And, you have an uplift, emotional uplifting in the first couple of weeks. And then they have a huge drop. And then you have like a high, another high in about 4 months, another drop, and so forth. So I know. I know the science of culture shock. I went through it. All Russians who came here, they had no clue. Everyone was on adrenaline, trying to open bank account, trying to settle, find an apartment, find a job, this, that, and it kept them busy for the first 3 weeks. new food, new flavors, new life, and it's like go, 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 go. And once they kind of settled, it started hitting everyone. And I remember in November, I was talking to one guy, and he said, "Look, I feel so bad. I miss my family so bad. I would like to, like every night, instead of sleeping, I want to howl like a wolf, holes looking at the moon." Okay, and that's when I started the Sunday lectures. My first lecture was I got everyone together, and I found a psychologist and who knew about the culture shock, and I basically told everyone how I was feeling, and I remember everyone's like, "Wow, it's like magic. We're feeling the same way." And I introduced the psychologist, and she told everyone, at least she gave the tools how to make it feel easier a little bit. So my culture shock is over. It's been over for 6 months, but I'm not going it through anymore. It's something else, something I don't know. Perhaps depression, but my family's here. I feel so much better. It was really bad when I was alone, sitting in this huge apartment and by myself 24/7. And but anyway, thank you, folks. I want to pray a little different today. Today's a different kind of stream. Dory, thank you so much for coming. You are one of my most favorite inside Russian insiders. Thank you. Long but essential. Amir, thank you. Friends, that's what I want to pray today for. It's going to be a short prayer, but, let's do it. Please everyone join me in prayer, as usual, to finish the stream. Kind of feeling out of place, to be honest with you. Kind of like a strange feeling, not a usual stream. Anyway, that's pray. And if you are not religious, pray anyway. You can call it whatever name you want. Sending good vibes, good wishes, anything. It's the same thing in my eyes. Let's do it, please. Dear Lord Jesus Christ, thank you so much for giving us this day. Thank you for giving us these lives, and thanks for helping us, putting food on our tables and giving roofs over our heads, surrounding us with people who we love and who love us. Please give us wisdom to keep the skies above our children's heads safe and peaceful. Give us wisdom to raise them the way that when they grow up, they will make this world a better place. A better place for everyone to live. Meanwhile, for now, please have our kids send them health, safety, keep them safe, and keep them healthy. Thank you. Dear Lord, please help Ukraine and Ukrainians reach out and touch the hearts and souls of people who are responsible and, most importantly, capable of the decision to stop the bloodshed. Just do whatever is necessary so they wake up and they will make the decision to stop the bloodshed. Please help the Ukrainians who have been affected. Answer their prayers, soothe their souls, please, and make their wishes come true. Help my country, assemble your strongest angels with sharpest swords, and send Saint Michael in front of them. Have them come down to the earth like an avalanche and get rid of the demons. Have angels run Russia, make it peaceful. Dear Lord, I would like to ask for the people in the world who are not feeling well, who are sick, who are depressed, who are lost, who are crushed, betrayed, who are jobless, homeless, addicted. Please shine your heavenly light upon them, because there are moments in all our lives when we just need help and we're feeling down, and sometimes it feels like life is over. So please come and shine your heavenly light upon everyone in that situation, and so they give them hope back, so they get up again from their knees onto their feet, and they stand tall and firm, and have another chance of having a happy life. Please help everyone who is traveling, send them safe travels, and help everyone who is running away, trying to save his life, his loved ones, lives of his loved ones, their loved ones. Please help all the refugees, help all who are seeking new life, who are looking forward to a ray of hope from you, who are praying to you right now for help. Please help every single person in that situation. And please bless everyone who is helping the refugees, who is helping them to come to safety, to start new lives, to establish, their new homes, and build new lives. Thank you so very much for allowing us to come into this community every day, have this community, and come here to pray. Please help everyone who is praying along with me or simply watching us pray. Dear Lord, please answer everyone's prayer and make everyone's wish come true. There are quite a few people who reach out to me and ask to pray for them. I'm not going to say their names today, but please help every single one. Their names, you know even better than I do. You know their needs, you know their wishes, you know their hopes, and you know their troubles. Please help every single one who is sick, who is not well, who needs help, any kind of help, both adults and children. Please do that. Thank you so much, our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you, friends. It's definitely not the usual stream, but it's done. Thank you. I want to just say that you're absolutely awesome and you rock. And just know that without you, it would have been so much more difficult for me to stay afloat in exile. You are one of the 3 anchors that are keeping me alive and on top, not letting me sink. So thank you so very much, all of you, from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. And before I sign off, I would like to ask you to say the usual. Please repeat after me out loud as you can. Carthago delenda est.